Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Other Words, the Diamondbacks Terrapin men's basketball preview show. I'm Greg Schimmel, the Diamondbacks Terrapin basketball columnist, here with Eric Detweiler, our beat writer, set to preview the Terps game tomorrow against Duke, Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock tip, down in Durham at Cameron Indoor.
It's a big one.
It is a big one. First place in the line. The winner will be, alone in first place. Duke right now 8-2 in the league. Terps 6-2. What do you think? What should we look for tomorrow?
Well, Terps are in a little bit of an interesting situation. Obviously, with all the snow, the 2 rounds of snow that clobbered College Park in the last week, they haven't played for 6 days, or they won't have played for 6 days, after they beat North Carolina on Sunday. The Wednesday's game got postponed. So Gary was talking about today, we just got back from availability, and he was saying about how he liked the idea that they were able to prepare for Virginia, put their minds on the Cavaliers. They were ready to play that game. Didn't happen, but then they moved on to Duke, and it seems like that he's cool with a rhythm, as much of a rhythm as you can get where, they're not in class and they're not doing a whole lot of things. He said they spent a lot of time watching tape.
Yeah, it sounded like I actually thought he'd be more pleased than he was about having the extra time. He didn't seem to think that it was much of an advantage to have these extra days to prepare for Duke. He said it kind of broke their rhythm that they were getting ready for Wednesday night, getting ready for UV, and then all of a sudden they had to shut it down and we're not playing for 3 more days. They did have the extra time for Duke, but I don't know, there's probably only so much you can do, I guess. And then it's going to kind of back them up on the back end, having 3 games in 5 days. But yeah, I mean, how do you think that's going to be an issue? Is it the first game of 3, actually 4 in 8 days if you count the Georgia Tech game coming up next Saturday? How do you think this team's going to be able to handle this stretch coming up?
Well, the way I look at it, they're going to have a lot of energy here for Duke. That's a given. It's going to be a high-energy place. You get amped up when you go down to play at Cameron. It's going to be a good game. The Terps are going to give their best shot. Then they come back here, whether they win or lose, Virginia's a rivalry game. You get the home crowd back. They're actually all going to get to be there, unlike, against North Carolina when fans were, struggling just to get here. They're going to be pumped up for that, too. Win or lose, those first 2, I think, very energetic games. Then the one you got to worry about is the last one, making that trip down to Raleigh, the RBC Center. It's a game that you should win. You already handled the Wolfpack really easily up here, but that's the game where, even if they're not physically drained, they're going to be mentally drained. It's going to be tough to go to North Carolina, come back here, go back to North Carolina again. So that's the game to watch, because that's a game that you should win for a number of different reasons, and, this 3 games in 5 day stretch is a big reason why they're going to come out a little flat in that one.
Right, I think you got to win 2 of these next 3. If you can win tomorrow down in Duke, that's definitely a bonus. That puts you in a great spot. You'll be in first place. You'll have a win head-to-head against the best team in the league. But ultimately, they need to win 2 out of 3. If they lose tomorrow, it's not going to be the end of the world. They'll still be in a good spot. They'll still be 6-3. But you're right. That NC State game is pretty key. I think they'll be able to handle Virginia pretty well. But NC State obviously right at the bottom of the standings right now. But it's going to be tough. And Gary said he said you might play in a postseason situation where you'll have a few games all in 3 days in a row, but you're just sitting in your hotel. Now in this situation, they have to go down to North Carolina, back up here for Virginia, back down to Raleigh, and that could be difficult with the travel. So I agree the NC State game is going to be big in this stretch. And then we'll see if they have anything left for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a good team coming here next week. So
yeah, but those couple of days off are gonna feel like an eternity. They're gonna, that'll be a perfect time to get well, get your legs back, get your mind right, and so that's gonna feel great for them. A little time off there.
But we basically got a quarter of the season in 1 week here, so it's a big stretch. It's a big week for the Terps. I guess back to Duke a little bit. What should we expect from the Blue Devils? The best team in the conference. We know North Carolina's having a down year, but Duke, seems to be right where they usually are. What should people expect from the Blue Devils this year?
The thing about them is, they have the really good guards that we've heard about for a number of years here. Shire, he's going to have a good game, pretty much. The Terps, if they can limit what he does on the perimeter, that's going to only help them. But what intrigues me about them is their inside play, what they're going to get out of a Zubek, if Lance Thomas is going to get a chance to play, how effective he's going to be. Because that's the thing, the Terps have had so much success limiting these big guys, but with what Duke brings to the table, which is a dearth of these big guys, and if 1 or 2 of them have really good games, that makes them all the more dangerous. It's a tough matchup. We all saw on Tuesday. They beat Tuesday or Wednesday when
Wednesday.
they beat North Carolina. They didn't have their best stuff there. They probably could have lost, a rivalry game.
Yep.
They gutted it out. That says a lot about them and where they're at right now. So this is just another test for them. I think the Terps are going to have to play, obviously, a really, really good game if they want to steal a win down at Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be done. We saw it 3 years ago. I guess it was. The Terps went down there and won. Last year, obviously, it was a debacle, the 41-point loss. So, I don't know, maybe it'll be somewhere in between. But I guess that brings us to our predictions, everyone's favorite segment. Yeah, what is your prediction for tomorrow? Saturday, 1 o'clock tip, CBS, Brent Lundquist on the call.
You think those Duke chant sheets are going to have 41 or something about a 41-point loss
usual.
there?
Yeah, we'll have to steal one. They'll have the usual stuff on there. We'll see if we can get a hold of one.
So, but yeah, I think it'll be a lot less than 41. I think they're going to have a tough time pulling out a win here. I think it might be one of those rough and tumble games that Duke's played. The other one that comes to mind is that 61-47 when they pulled out against Clemson earlier this year. When they're getting into games where they're more evenly matched, it seems like their defense mechanism is to turn it into a slugfest, which is very unlike Duke. So that provides an interesting dynamic. But I think that the Blue Devils will pull it out. I'm going to go with 73-68.
Only 5 points. Wow, that's close. I agree with what you were saying. I think Duke will win a relatively close game. I'm expecting a big game out of Gravis, though. He's been playing at a very high level. He's had success down there. Last year he was terrible in the Duke game. It was Landon who was the only player who showed up. But I think he'll have a big game. His last trip down to Cameron, he said it was his house last year, and then he sucked. So he's got some things to play for beyond the usual, getting up for the Duke game. But yeah, I think they'll fall short ultimately. Duke will win by about 8 or 9. So I'll go with 80-71 Duke. Duke improving to 9-2 in the league. But yeah, either way, I think this game, like I said, it'd be a bonus if the Terps can win. Not the end of the world if they can lose. It's going to be the next 2 or 3 games after that that really set the Terps up for their ACC tournament run, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, good
So
stuff.
I guess we'll be there tomorrow. Look for coverage. We'll finally have a paper again Monday, assuming it doesn't snow again. And we'll see you all then.
Sounds good. See ya.